This is for those of you, because I know that we have a lot of people on the call that are FootPrints customers and are Remedy Force customers, kind of wanted to show you what the convergence of these two products looks like. And for those of you that don't have a service desk that said, hey, you know what, maybe it's time that we upgrade from just that ticketing system to get into more of a ITSM, ITIL focused product, this will be a good idea of what the integration of these two products can do for you. And this kind of ties back into our original theme of software license management. So my end user goes out and they make a request for a piece of software. Well, as you guys know in your organization, this could happen via email. This could happen if you've got a ticketing system, go through a ticketing system. And then there's about 10 steps after that. Hey, we need to go check to see if they can have this. Maybe the ticket needs to get assigned to somebody else. Lots of different things where you're really not servicing your end user as quickly as you could be and not really keeping track of these things the way you should be. So this isn't even a dream scenario. This is an actual scenario that a lot of our customers are running now where they're really helping their customers get places faster. So end user goes in, makes a request for a piece of software. So whether or not it needs approval, do you have a software asset manager? Do you have a manager that this needs to be sent to if an expensive piece of software gets requested by one of their users that says, hey, Bill just requested this. Can he have this piece of software? Well, yes. We're going to make the assumption in this that yes, he can, because if we answered no here, we would just close the ticket out, and there would be an explanation that says, hey, you can't have this, and here's the reason why. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to automatically deploy that software from the Asset Core product that we're going to be taking a look at today. We're going to automatically deploy that software. Once again, as you see, still no burden on the IT staff because they haven't had to do anything yet. And then finally, what we're going to do is we're going to add a license into software license management that says tick. One more license has been taken away. We just installed it on this machine, and then we're going to close the loop by closing out that incident. And in this time, nobody from IT had to do anything. But the great thing about it is the customer was fully serviced, probably in less than, depending on how long the approval took, in less than a couple hours instead of something that would have probably taken several days for them to get to the exact same place. So that being said, we just a quick overview of, we know we're talking about software license management mainly, but we want to let you know what else is included, what are the other possibilities with this product. So with the software license management, the discovery and inventory, but like I talked about before, we're going to go discover everything in your environment, pull it all back in, so we can do that. You saw where we talked about the OS deployment, the software distribution. Those are both capabilities with the software license management. And for those of you that want to do financial asset management, maybe you want to track the value of the hardware that's installed in your environment. When it's coming out of warranty, if we lease equipment, when is that coming out of warranty? How much is that costing us? We can track that as well in the product. There's patch management, so full not only Microsoft patches, so those of you that use WSUS that are only getting about 60% of the patches you need, we give you that. We add on to that with third-party patching, plus the patches that Microsoft doesn't make available. So we're going to give you all of those additional third-party patches, so those Java updates that always come up, those Flash updates that always come up, and for those of you that run Mac operating systems, well, we're going to patch those operating systems as well. If you want to do remote control, we'll be able to help you remote control. One of the things that Dick hit on earlier that he talked about was power management. Almost every state that I know of, I live in the West, but almost every state in the country, and you could call your company's call the power company and ask about it. Almost all of them have some kind of rebate program, a one-time rebate program that says, hey, if you implement a power policy, there's in some cases a significant savings, and some, they give you a little bit of a rebate, but there's the rebate. But then on top of that, there's also the savings in just implementing the power policy that says, hey, at 8 o'clock at night, put the machines and the monitors that are still on, put those things in standby, so they're not consuming as much power as they normally would. We do device management, so for those of you that are in retail or in organizations, healthcare, that, you know, you can't have somebody go plug in their USB device, take customer information, walk out the door. You know, this allows you to lock those devices down to where maybe it's a specific USB types that you allow, or you just lock it down completely and say, hey, you know what, nothing can plug into this device because it has our customer's information on it, and be able to lock that down. Migration Manager goes along with OS deployment, and that is, you know, pulling that profile from the machine, re-imaging the machine from Windows XP to Windows 7, and then putting that profile back on the machine. So, hey, the picture of the grandkids is still there, which is key to every end user, or that picture of that big fish they caught on vacation. All of that stuff goes back. And then finally, the My Apps is for customers that don't have the ability to do self-service through a incident management system. It gives you the ability to set up software or URLs or you know, things like the ability to kick off a update antivirus, utilities we'll call it, or utilities that you can provide for your end users so they can self-help. They can go pick software that's been approved for them to install, or they can go run a utility that runs a defrag because their machine's running slow, or you put the HR 401k website, make that available because you guys, for some reason in IT, are the ones that are being called to say, hey, now what's that website again? Be able to put those out for your end users to be able to see. With that being said, what we're going to do is show you a little bit about what the product looks like. As Dick mentioned before, there's a Q&A section, so if you have questions, please feel free to type your question in. And when we get to the end of the presentation, we will jump over there and answer as many questions as we can during the time that we have. And that being said, here let me go ahead and pull up the console to the Asset Core product, and we will start out by taking a look at the software license management. So what we're looking at is the Asset Core console. This isn't something that you have to RDP in and, you know, be on a server to run this. It's an application that will run on your desktop. It's just a Java applet, so it's a really quick installation. So I'll just give you a walkthrough. Over here on the left-hand side are the tools within the system. Over here down in the bottom right, which I think is great, is somebody who's used multiple systems management, asset management type products. They can be really complex to run at times, and what I found with this product is really, really easy to get up and running and to use. And we have what we call instant experts. So, hey, if there's something you forgot how to do while you were being onboarded, well, that's not a big deal, because what you can do is you go over and say, now how do I create a report again? And it will walk you step by step how to create a report. Or, hey, I need to connect Active Directory, or I need to do something. This will walk you right through it under this Instant Expert section to be able to say, hey, how do I do things, especially things that you're not going to do very often in the product and you know, maybe didn't document or didn't memorize how to do it. This is really going to be useful to you later. So that being said, one of the things to mention is this product is wizard-driven. So it's really hard to make mistakes. I would actually call it almost impossible to make mistakes when you're doing things within this product. So what we'll do is go over here on the left-hand side, and we're going to take a look at our application management, which is our software license management. And we're going to assume setting up the software title to monitor so you can see what this looks like. So if I right-click and say, hey, I want to manage a piece of software, so we're going to go to the Application Management Wizard. And it's going to say automatically set up a software title for me to manage. I'm just going to click Next. I'm going to click my little green button up here on top that says, well, what do you want to manage? And as you see, the great thing about this is it says, only show discovered software. So all of these titles that I could potentially find in here are only things that have been discovered in my environment. If I click the top option, it will show, you know, potential of everything under the sun that's in the software catalog. So what I'm going to say is, hey, only show discovered software. I'll show you what this looks like. You know, here's all of the software in my environment, tons of different vendors that I've got in here. But Adobe is a great example, and we're going to use Adobe Photoshop actually as our example. So what I'm going to do is say, hey, Adobe Photoshop is the product that I want to go ahead and monitor. I just highlight, say OK. And then it's going to ask me a couple questions. Do I want to monitor this software? This is what we talked about before, where it says, do we want to know if the end user is actually using this software? And then how many licenses do I know that I own of this product? Maybe we own, 25 licenses. At that point, we can just say next. So one of the things that you can do here is you can assign like a specific group. So maybe this is just specific for a certain group in the company. Only accounting uses this piece of software. So we're just going to monitor it there. Or we can say, you know what, this is a company-wide product. This could be all devices. And that's basically saying, hey, this is company-wide. So we're going to say, on all of our devices, one of the things that you'll see here by default, it says unauthorized, which means, hey, we haven't authorized this software to be running yet on their machines. So it's going to be unauthorized. It's really easy to change. You can just check the box and it will make it authorized. But I'll show you what that looks like in a second. So we'll just click Finish. And what it's going to do is ask me, what do I want to do? And I'm going to say, take me to the licensed software. So with 5 clicks of my mouse, I am now tracking this piece of software. All right, we've purchased 25, which we talked about. I've got 1 installed. I've got 24 available. But if we look over here, I don't have any that are authorized. So I can drill into this. I can say, show me all that are unauthorized but installed. It actually shows me that machine that it's installed on. If we know that we're good, hey, we know that this person has a license for this, we can say change the status, and it's going to now authorize that person and changing it that easy. But the good thing about this is where it gets into when Bill in accounting goes and installs, after you've set this up, and a month later, Bill in accounting goes out and says, hey, you know what, I'm going to go down to Best Buy, I'm going to buy a copy of this software, and I'm going to install it. Well, guess what's going to happen? It's going to come in here as unauthorized, and then somebody's going to email Bill or call Bill and say, hey, why do you have that software installed on your machine? If you actually own a license, please bring it to us so we can put it in the system. That way you're actually tracking that license that Bill's gone out and installed. So one of the other key things, you saw that these are all drillable by me drilling into that authorized. If I refreshed it, it now shows me that one that the license has been authorized and that I'm fully compliant. And so one of the other big things is tracking usage. So starting right now on that particular machine, I'm going to start tracking usage. So what we're going to do is say, has it been used in less than a month? Has it been 1 to 3 months, 3 to 12 months, or has it been over a year? Right now it's unknown because it just started tracking the software. So within a couple of weeks, we're going to start getting some information, some really good information back about how the software is actually being used in our environment. And this is where we're going to be able to go in when we start seeing those 1 to 3 months. Maybe you wait a little longer, maybe the 3 to 12 months. We're going to start going in there and saying, hey, do these guys really need this software? Because it doesn't really seem like it because they've never used it. So maybe we need to pull it off those machines and start saving the company a little money on software titles that we're purchasing that, frankly, we really don't need. So here's the dashboard view of this. One of the things that we talked about before was when I created that original license, well, here's the original license. Who's the vendor? What kind of license is it? Is it a per-seat license? Is it a processor license? What kind of license is this? Do you want to track your product serial numbers, your quantities, your warranty costs when all of that stuff goes out of date? You can track all of that information and create reports, create queries, things like that to be able to see where you're at. But like what I talked about before, well, if Bill decides to go down to Best Buy like what we talked about before, we could go in here and we could add that one quantity from Best Buy that he went and bought and add all of that information in here. So I can have multiple licenses in here, get notifications based on those licenses to when it's going to expire, all of these things if I want as well.